So my name is Alicia Pirie, and I am a Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist at Agnico Eagle Mines. Thank you for joining the Mining Needs You virtual career fair and attending this edition of the Mining Industry Human Resources Council's Career Ambassador webinar series. So Mining Needs You is a national career awareness campaign supported by a coalition of industry partners that's designed to inspire the next generation of mining workers. MiningNeedsYou.ca has more information about the campaign, including the Ambassador Program, which was launched in partnership with CIM, which is the Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy, and Petroleum. So my session today focuses on exploring careers in gold mining, and I'm thrilled to be here as a mere career ambassador. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from Timmins, Ontario, which is Treaty 9 territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of Matagami First Nation, Flying Post First Nation, and Matachewan First Nation. We recognize their stewardship of this land and honor the contributions of all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples in shaping and strengthening our communities. Just a few housekeeping items before I get started. So this session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Mining Needs You YouTube channel. I ask attendees to take a few minutes to complete a post-event survey, which Mir will send to you following the webinar. And there's 5 minutes set aside for audience questions after my presentation. So please type your answers, your questions in the chat feature, and I'll answer as many as I can. So as a senior talent acquisition specialist at Agnico, my role is to connect people with careers in mining. And today I'm really excited to share how this industry offers opportunities for everyone. So students, career changers, and experienced professionals. Mining is a dynamic sector that combines innovation, sustainability, and teamwork. So whether you're exploring your first job, considering a career change, or guiding others towards their future, there's a place for you in mining. So over the next 20 minutes, I'll walk you through why mining is such an exciting industry, the different career paths available, and the skills that can help you succeed. And by the end, you'll see that mining is not just about digging, it's about technology, people, and progress. So I want to start with a bit of my own journey because I think it's a good reminder that there's no single right pathway into mining. So as I said at the beginning, I grew up in Timmins. The slogan in Timmins is the city with the heart of gold. So I've been surrounded by mining my entire life. Family members worked in the industry, friends' parents worked in the industry. Mining was part of the community and always in the back of your head, but never pictured myself working in it, even with all of that exposure. I didn't see myself in a traditional mining role, so I just never considered it. I wish that somebody told me what mining actually looked like and had that guidance in my high school, time to be able to say, hey, you're really good at this and this. Maybe you should consider this type of role. Instead, I went to university. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology and English with the hope of becoming a teacher. I came back to Timmins. I ended up working in social work. And then I became a mom. And during my early times of motherhood, I actually started a business. And I was an entrepreneur for almost 10 years. I was teaching in the college system for 5 of those years. I still actually teach part-time in the college, and I taught communications. So eventually, in 2023, I moved into recruitment. And when I applied for my current talent acquisition role, I had no mining experience at all. What I did have were transferable skills, communication, leadership, organization, and the ability to connect with people. And those strengths opened the door for me. And that's the message that I want you to carry throughout this presentation is your background may be more valuable than you think. So when most people think of mining careers, they imagine big trucks, underground tunnels, and highly physical work. And these roles are incredibly important. They're skilled, respected, and essential to our operations. But they're only one part of a much bigger picture. So what does mining careers actually look like? This table, periodic table, I found on Google. It's from Australian mining, and Agnico Eagle does have operation in Australia. However, when you think of mining careers, you have to think of it like mining is like a small city. Every type of role you see in a large organization exists in mining, HR, IT, supply chain, environmental teams, engineering, trades, training, administration, community relations, and so much more. So once people see the diversity of roles, they often realize there's a place for almost every interest and skill set. So it's like this small little ecosystem, and all of those different industries and divisions or departments need to support the mining operations as a whole. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of go down a bunch of different pathways. It's going to be very high level. Obviously, I don't have a lot of time, but kind of giving you a little bit more insight as a recruiter and someone that gets to see all of the positions that we're hiring for. I get a really good understanding of how many different interesting roles there are and where the pathways lie. So um, these, trades and operations are the hands-on roles that keep the mine moving. Your equipment operators, your electricians, your mechanics, your millwrights, your welders, drillers, miners. If you enjoy practical work, being on your feet, problem solving, and using your skills to keep systems running, this pathway offers competitive, strong wages, training, and clear advancement opportunities as well. So on the engineering and the technical side, these are the roles that include our mining engineers, mechanical and electrical engineers, geologists, geotechnical specialists, surveyors, metallurgists. They require formal education and technical knowledge, and they're perfect for people who enjoy science, analysis, planning, and using technology to solve complex challenges. So these are really great, specialized, obviously, positions. They do require, getting an engineering degree and going on and getting your professional designation. But if these are areas that you find very interesting, building and hands-on in that way, this is a really good pathway to take as well. Now, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you would have seen when I was promoting this webinar that I have always found a really big joy in discovering the environmental side of mining. The environmental and sustainability side is really growing rapidly. So things like water monitoring, reclamation work, environmental technicians, data specialists, and a lot of even permitting to get the proper permits for us to mine. So if someone told me in high school, you enjoy being outdoors all the time, maybe environmental is where you should, focus your efforts. I didn't even know that this existed. And when I do interviews with people that work in the environmental field and ask them to walk me through a typical day, even with not being in mining, they're, collecting frogs, they're fishing, they're doing a whole bunch of really cool things in the field that I wish I knew of earlier in my career. So if you're passionate about protecting land, water, and wildlife, this pathway really allows you to make a real impact. Health and safety. So this is a really big one for myself. We obviously, if you enjoy helping others, coaching, teaching, or supporting teams, this is a strong pathway to consider. So if I look at, roles that we have, safety is the foundation of everything that we do in mining. So we have health and safety advisors, we have trainers, industrial hygiene teams, we have mine rescue, emergency response specialists, and we also have a very big security team as well, both at Detour and Macassa. So asset protection, if you think of Detour Lake, it's a small town. There's 1,500 employees that work there. And so our security team is the first point of contact for any sort of emergency. So our security personnel that work at Detour have police foundations backgrounds. They have, criminal justice backgrounds. They may have worked in loss prevention, corrections. They don't need mining experience in order to be hired there. So some of those, education and backgrounds that you may have nothing to do with mining, but still play a part in finding a good, solid career at our operations. So really cool pathway here in health and safety, and something that I also wasn't really aware that it existed, but we, as you can see in the photos, we do have a full, fire trucks. Our emergency response team is quite large, runs on volunteers as well. So super interesting pathway. Okay, the next is really this is where my work fits. So mining companies need our support functions. They need the HR teams. They need payroll, procurement, IT, communications, training and development, finance, project coordination. So these roles often don't require mining experience to start, but they do require strong soft skills and a willingness to learn. So really cool pathways here, and this forms a very big part of the mining careers that are available to people. Another meaningful area is our community and Indigenous relations. So this is work that's focused on building trusted partnerships and supporting future talent. So I want to share a recent example from Agnico Eagle because I think it reflects this very well. Last week, grade 12 students from our First Nation partner communities were welcomed at Detour Lake for a two-day immersive tour. So they explored key areas of the operation. They got to learn about the processes that keep the site running, and they got to experience camp life, what it is to work at a mining camp and stay in the lodge and get to experience all of that. They also got to meet with several teams across site who shared insights into a wide range of careers, so from mining to maintenance to environmental work and camp services. So experiences like this really help inspire the next generation and strengthen our relationships with partner communities. So these are two photos that were shared on our social media pages that I wanted to highlight here today because it's a really wonderful pathway to be part of. And obviously, mining is evolving quickly. Things like automation, drone mapping, robotics, digital modeling, electric vehicles, AI-driven planning. These are all becoming part of mining day-to-day operations. So if you're passionate about technology or innovation, this is a rapidly growing area with huge opportunities. And I know, at our operations, one of our drone, we have drones that are flying around as well. So they are very much being used today in our mining operations. So these are kind of some of the pathways. I think I could spend a very long time really diving into every type of role that is offered, but I think it's time to talk about you. So where do you fit? Mining has roles for introverts, extroverts, hands-on learners, analytical thinkers, creative thinkers, and really people who love either variety or structure. So there truly is something for everyone. And when I was thinking about, this webinar and putting this presentation together, I wanted to see what kind of resources there are out there. And conveniently, Mining Needs You actually has a great interactive quiz that helps identify your strengths and suggest roles that match your natural interests. It only takes a few minutes and gives you a starting point to explore different career paths. So I've kind of highlighted the website here and where to search for, which is called the Interactive Career Quiz. But you really want to find the path that matches your strengths and also matches your experience. So definitely after this webinar or at some point later on, take a few minutes and go and take that quiz. So across every department, soft skills matter. As a recruiter, I meet with hiring managers before every role is posted to really dig into what they're looking for aside from the technical components. So a lot of the same soft skills come through when I speak to hiring managers. Strong soft skills are going to help you work safely. They're going to help you collaborate effectively and also navigate very fast-paced environments. And they're just as important as technical skills. So the top 10 soft skills are communication is a huge one. And that communication skills starts with your resume, goes through to the interview and really highlights, your skill sets in communication, and you're going to see it in every facet of whatever role that you're in on why that is probably the top soft skill. Things like organization, teamwork, problem solving, adaptability. Mining is very ever changing, and the ability to adapt to those changing environments quickly is also a very highly sought skill that employers are looking for. Time management, being self motivated, having good leadership, being able to deal with conflict resolution, negotiation, and also being able to work with the team. If I think of even my position, we'll take my position as an example. I need to work across multiple different departments, multiple different divisions at the same time, and being able to work effectively in a team, both within my own team in recruitment, but also across multiple different departments, is a very big skill. And it's not something that you really need to have experience in mining in order to get that soft skill. It's something that you are going to develop along the way, even in high school. So I don't know what the audience looks like today in the webinar and kind of watching ahead of time, but think of your current situation now, where you're in. Are you in high school? Are you in college? Are you, graduated and in the workforce? And think about all of those opportunities you've had along your pathway to build and strengthen these soft skills. So, if I'm going to go back to teamwork, even if you're in high school, being able to work in group projects. I know everyone doesn't like group projects, but you don't realize that every time you are part of a group project, you're strengthening that teamwork skills, and you're showing your ability to work among, different people, being able to manage your time effectively, being able to collaborate, which I think is another big one. So really focusing on those transferable skills. Now, what I want to be open because I think it's important not to give false expectations. And as I said at the beginning, there's roles in mining where transferable skills, soft skills aren't enough. So if you see a job for a mine engineer and you don't have an engineering degree, it's not something that you can apply for. Those roles like engineers, geologists, metallurgists, being an electrician, they all require formal education, certifications, or apprenticeships, and that's okay. You want to, again, as I said, find the path that aligns with your strengths and your experience and your background, because there's many roles where mining experience is not required at all. So HR, for instance, you're focusing more on your attitude, your communication, your reliability, and the ability to learn. So the key is understanding where the pathway aligns with where you are today. And if you feel like, hey, I really love the environmental field, when I hear about that, how can I grow into that field with training down the road? And now I could probably spend an entire webinar talking about resumes, cover letters, and interviews, but I put this at the end to allow myself to really be concise and high level, because I want to talk about something that can make a big difference in how you present yourself, and it's your resume. So one of the most common mistakes people make is they use the same resume for every job. It might feel easier, but a generic resume is rarely going to stand out. And as somebody who personally screens every single resume that comes through, we do not use a screening tool. We do not have AI. I physically read every single resume. a strong one is going to be tailored to the job that you're applying for. That means you need to read the job posting carefully. You need to pay attention to the skills and the responsibilities that are listed and make sure that your resume highlights the experiences that match. So you don't need to rewrite your entire resume every time, but you do need to adjust it so the most relevant information is upfront for that recruiter or hiring manager to see. And you want to show that you understand the role and that you've made the effort to show how you're a fit. So I always say, don't blind apply to, 40 different positions in a day. You do not have the ability to tailor your resume that many times. And in recent, research that I've read, it really only takes a recruiter about 5 seconds to look at your resume and determine if you're a fit or not. That's not very long. So you want to ensure that your resume is not generic, it stands out and it helps you get noticed, because that resume is going to be your ticket to getting that interview. And then when you get in the interview, it's a whole other ball game, and a whole other webinar that I could probably showcase is really just highlighting where your strengths are, how you have those transferable skills, where you've grown and strengthened those soft skills, and really position yourself as someone who is genuinely interested and prepared. So why consider mining? Well, mining offers stability, strong wages, great benefits, training opportunities, and the chance to build a career close to home or really anywhere in the world. It's full of possibility. It's especially for people who enjoy learning, growing, and exploring different pathways. So how do you get started? So really you want to explore roles that interest you, follow mining companies online, go take the Mining Needs You quiz, look for student entry level opportunities, and start tailoring your resume to match the positions that you're applying for, because curiosity and willingness to learn is going to take you very far. I anticipate questions, so I'm going to stop here. But if you want to stay connected or ask questions after today and don't feel comfortable asking it during the webinar, you can feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help however I can. I do get a lot of messages every day, and I have a hard time answering concisely or quickly. So please bear with me, but please connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to stay connected. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope, in this short amount of time that you were able to see the range of opportunities in mining and where your own strengths might fit. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have now. And I don't know if I'm going to see. Oh, I'm going to see. So that's great. Now let's see if I can see the chat. Great question. So the question in the webinar chat is related to resume. Is it okay for it to be 2 pages or has to be 1 page only? 2 pages is absolutely okay. I don't know why people say to make it 2 pages, unless obviously, or to make it only 1 page. There's people that have a lot of experience. What I ask is that what I would suggest as advice is, if you have a lot of experience that's not relevant to the position, you want to at least showcase your relevant experience first. And you can make that very clear in your resume by stating at the top in your header, relevant work experience, so that the recruiter knows, hey, they've had other positions, but they really want to highlight the information that they have that's relevant to this role first. And then you can kind of list your other roles at the bottom if you wish. Obviously for myself, have been working since I was 14 years old, and I'm only 29. I'm just kidding. I'm definitely older than 29. But I would not list my positions that I worked on in high school. So I don't even list it anymore. I just list whatever relevant work experience I've had. And the other thing that I didn't really mention in here, because it's, can take some time, but your cover letter. So cover letters aren't always needed. When people ask, do I need to write a cover letter? I always say, use a cover letter in the way that you would to present yourself as as like an introduction to who you are and why you've applied to this position because it doesn't match what your experience is. So for myself, when I applied as a talent acquisition specialist, I had zero mining or recruiting experience. So I really used that cover letter at the beginning to really make the connection for that recruiter or hiring manager to see how I align with every skill set that they're looking for and those transferable skills. So it worked, I guess. Here I am 3 years later. But yes, so I hope that helps. 2 pages are absolutely fine. No more than that, though, of course. Awesome. What advice can you offer to professionals with multiple years of experience transitioning from another industry? That's a great question. And really, again, I think what you need to do is dig into where you feel you're going to best fit. Really read through job descriptions because what I find is sometimes people want to get into mining and they apply to 14 different positions. And those positions are in every single industry. And to me, it just looks like they just want to get into mining somehow, but they're not really showcasing where their strengths are. And it's hard to really determine that. And as a recruiter that gets 200 resumes, I can't make that connection for you. So I might just see it as they've applied. I don't see any relevant experience, moving on. But if you are really passionate about communications, then really focus your efforts on finding those roles in communications, community relations, even HR, and then figure out where you have those transferable skills. Because again, I don't think you need mining industry experience for a lot of positions. What you do need is to have that willingness to learn and that drive. So I think you really need to just focus first on where you're interested in kind of moving into the mining industry and then how you can be that candidate that really stands out for you to get that interview and then have the ability to really sell who you are and why you'd be a great fit. So again, I hire people all the time at Agnico who do not have that mining experience, but they are able to really highlight how they're going to learn that experience, how they're going to get, up to speed on the mining industry. But I've been here for 3 years and I feel like I only know a very small slice of that pie. I hope that helps, but definitely transferable skills, figure out where your strengths are and start there. Okay, second question, business analytics background, great. Starting MSc, best entry path into mining for someone with my profile. So data analyst, absolutely. I can just tell you as a data analyst position that just posted with Agnico, we had over 300 applications. And so you can imagine in that instance, that recruiter is looking for something that stands out very quickly because that's a lot of resumes to screen through. Taking courses in the mining industry, amazing. So I think what you should do is really position yourself to really have a standout resume right from the get-go. So the moment you open it up, it catches the recruiter's eye and you're very, very, very concise at the beginning to highlight where you have those where you stand out. So like you just said, taking courses in the mining industry, that's a really good tactic to do. And even anything to really get yourself familiarized with the mining industry if you haven't worked in it. And yeah, I think that's a good starting point. It's really hard, this is really career specific, but I know for, certain places it requires you to relocate. So if you want to relocate, you're open to relocating, make sure that's very vocal as well. You're open to relocating anywhere. A lot of times recruiters are looking for people that are in Northern Ontario because that's where the operations are. And if you don't signify that, then you may get overlooked as well. But yeah, I think you're doing some great things. And I think anything that you can really dive into to get better versed in mining will really help you set yourself apart. But again, that resume has to be a standout. Good. Okay. It is noon, and I feel like we could probably sit here and answer questions all the time. Again, like I said, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I love connections. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I check it every single day. I may not have the capacity to answer everyone right away, so please don't be discouraged. Just send me a quick follow up. And then I will hopefully be able to get to you. But thank you again for joining me today, and I hope that it was helpful. We, again, as we said, it will be recorded. So I think that's it. Thank you. Have a great day. I just noticed the more questions. I will answer them very quickly before I end this. How about that? So, no, more than 2 pages doesn't automatically disqualify you. We do not do that. Just make sure that it's concise. That's all. Advice for newcomers that have experience outside of Canada. That's okay. For, you have a lot of, if you have a lot of transferable experience, definitely just highlight that. But you would not be disqualified for only having experience outside of Canada. So just make sure that you are really highlighting that experience, very detailed enough. Again, that is aligning with the job that you're applying for. So if you're applying for, a data analyst position and you're highlighting your experience as a, I don't know, emergency response, that's really not going to be relevant. So just make sure it's relevant. Haul truck, what's the requirement? That I'm really not entirely sure. I don't hire on the hourly side, but I know that we do post. So just make sure that you look through the job description and what they're looking for. But I can give you some context again, just from Agnico. We had I think over 800 applications are the last time we posted for our haul truck operator. So again, wanting to make sure that you stand out in that resume. Okay. You would just have to check. And again, this is really just more careers. Anything that's Agnico, any sort of mining jobs, you can, keep your eye on the careers pages of the mining companies that you're looking at. Sounds good? Great. Okay, now I'm going to end it. But thank you again, and I will see you on LinkedIn and see you next time. Bye, everybody.